Good morning, Giants. So this morning I am listening to the book Wired for Story by Lisa Crone. And so that might be a book for you to grab, especially if you're an author. But even if you're in marketing or even want to understand the stories that we tell ourselves and why we do that, why it's human nature to share stories, that's a great book to listen to. But it's got me thinking. And I'll share some thoughts from it using my book, The Giants and the Smalls, as a reference point in this. So she says that there's three main things that we need to tie into that are our focus for any story, any good story. Because if a story is too general, we won't follow it. And so if you think about the people that you follow, you think about their Facebook pages or Instagram pages or whatever it is, whatever their method is. Good morning, Michael. They usually have a theme, a plot, an issue, something that resonates with you so that you can connect with that. As humans, we can't process. We have around us available about 11 million bits of information at any given moment, which is a lot. And we can process about 5 or 6, not 5 or 6 million, 5 or 6 bits of information at a time. And so if something doesn't capture our attention, we're going to move on because there's too much information around us. And so we narrow down our focus to 5 or 6 items that we can resonate with. So going back to these three things, one is the issue, the other is the theme, and the third is the plot, anytime you have a story. So Les Patterson, who is he's with Red Edge Mentoring, he talks about using stories to shift our lives. And he's masterful at doing that. So if you haven't checked him out, go do that. But this might tie in for you, Les, if you're watching this, to what you're doing. But as I look at my book, The Giants and the Smalls, the issue is that Rit feels like he's a small. And he feels like he's capable of so much more. So he sees the smalls, he sees the giants. He's got to make this decision of, do I want to continue playing small, or is it possible for me to become a giant? The theme in this book is that we all have giant potential within us, and we can grow into that based on our behaviors and actions. So if you look at the theme, my theme for my Facebook page is I help create giants. I help people recognize their giant potential and then grow into it. And so as a theme, if I look at my website or Facebook, I have this theme of helping people recognize their giant potential and grow into it. So it helps hold your attention. So if I'm marketing or writing a story, it doesn't matter. I need the issue, which is you're tired of playing small. You feel like there's more to your life, which just resonates with a lot of people. And then the theme is I have that potential in me, and everything that goes on my page ties into helping you reach that giant potential. The plot is how you overcome the challenges to get to your goal. And so if we don't have a plot, if somebody just posts random information, we're not going to pay attention. It's just noise in the background. So if you see people that are posting information and it's all over the place, it's not going to be interesting. It's not really going to draw an audience. And so when you look at the story, The Giants and the Smalls, the challenges that he has to overcome, Rit, is that he's got to climb a giant, and then he's got to go back to his land and outgrow his stuff and go back and work on working and recognizing abundance and seeing like a giant, overcoming all these small things that get in the way of becoming a giant. And so you hear the issue, I'm tired of playing small. You hear the theme that we all have giant potential and that we can reach it. And then you hear the plot, which is I have to overcome things to reach that goal. Now, one of the things I talked about, I think it was yesterday, about emotions, the importance of emotion. Without emotion, we cannot make decisions and we can't make connections with other humans. And so we have to create an emotional connection in our story. And so, Michael, I know you're masterful at telling stories, and so this is something that'll be beneficial to you. But you tell these stories because they create an emotional connection. And if somebody has an emotional connection, they can make it their own. And we have these things called mirror neurons in our brain that when we see something occur, they fire just like as if we were doing the action ourselves. And so these mirror neurons fire, we make it our own, and then we're able to go out and act on it. So what happens is sometimes we have our theme and our focus and we get off track and we're talking about everything and anything. And it's okay, but you want to bring it back to one of these 3 points: the issue, the theme, or the plot. And so if you're looking at your Facebook page and you're not getting a lot of followers, what is your theme? What is the issue you're trying to resolve? And what are the solutions that you're offering to help people overcome that? And so if you're not talking about one of those things, then bring it back. If you're writing a book, what is the issue that you're resolving? What is the theme of your book? And what has to be overcome for people to reach that goal? So keeping it simple, going back to this book by Lisa Cron, Wired for Story, keeping it simple and tying it back to one of these 3 areas pulls it into a place where people can relate to it. I was listening to Helen Keller's story and how she was extremely frustrated because she couldn't put language to experiences. And the beauty of language is it allows us to take the abstract and make it concrete, take ideas and make them into something that we can use. And without language, we can't do that. And so language has become very useful as a human tool because it allows us to communicate things. You know, if your neighbor is fighting a saber-toothed tiger and he tells you, look, this is what this creature does, this is how it happens, this is where it is, you're going to take that information in without having to go fight the tiger yourself and be able to make solutions and create solutions without having to go through the actual experience. And so stories are very useful for humans. It allows us to put ourselves in another's shoes. It allows us to have the experience without having the experience. I know there was a study done where they had, I think it was basketball players, mentally visualize making the basket, shooting the shot and making the basket. And they became more effective by actually not shooting, by not doing the physical action, but doing the mental action. They became more effective at it. And so the other thing that you really need to focus on is, what is your clear goal at the end of all of this? What is it that you're trying to create? For me, with the giants and the smalls, what I'm trying to create is this concept with people that, hey, you already have within you everything you need to become a giant. And my goal is to show you, to remind you of that, and then to help you have tools to get you there. And so I would ask you, with whatever it is you're doing, with whatever it is you're creating, man, it's interesting here. I'm going to pause for a minute. Jemerson says, good evening all the way from Philippines. It's morning where I'm at. It's evening over there. It's just amazing that we've got people all over the world tuning in. Good evening and good morning. So I want you to pay attention to this. So in your story, what you're sharing on Facebook, what is the issue? What is your theme? And what needs to be overcome for you to reach that goal? And how are you serving people with that? Remember that without an emotional connection, people cannot make decisions. There's a lot of research around it that people who don't have the ability to feel emotions can't make decisions. It's really hard for them to do that. Without emotions, we can't put ourselves in another's shoes. I want to shout out to another person here who's masterful at telling stories, Dan Rawls. He's got this group that he's putting together called Trustegrity, and they help people come together. So he's got this issue, which is creating real human connection with other people. Okay, so there's their issue. Their theme is that they bring them into an environment. Dan, you can clarify your theme here. I know you're watching. But the theme is that they help people to create real human connections. And so the issue is that people don't have that as much anymore with social media. And so they've created a way for people to do that. And then the plot is, these are the things you need to overcome challenges in your business. And so that's just an idea. So what I would ask you to do is think about what you're building, your business, your idea, your book, whatever it is. What's the issue? What's the theme? What's the plot? What are people struggling with? What is it that you help people do? And what do they have to overcome for them to accomplish that? And then how can you create a space where they can see that effectively? Because if you think about the noise, going back to the beginning, we have about 11 million bits of information around us at any given point. We can only pay attention to 5 or 6 of those. Not 5 or 6 million, again, 5 or 6. And so if you're not grabbing their attention, you're going to lose them. You're just going to be part of the noise. And so narrow it down to one of these 3 areas. I can't hit that enough. And if you get a chance, go grab that book, Wired for Story by Lisa Cron. Listen to it. It's going to be awesome for you. It'll help you craft your message in a way that's more effective so that people know what you're up to. If you have comments, thoughts, questions around this, please share. Carrie says it's all about the emotions. It kind of is. You know, I agree with that. We need emotion, but we also need the logic, because the logic is where we pull our information from. The emotion helps us know how to use it. And so there's this thing called heuristics, which is the ability to make quick mental calculations based off emotion and knowledge. So it blends the two together so that we don't have to be too logical and figure it out mathematically. We can use our emotions to quickly come up with a solution without having to go through all that work. Man, I thank you for sharing that, by the way, Carrie. I appreciate that. The emotions are vital. We've got to have those. And the emotional connection with others is vital. People need to have a clear goal. They need to know what you're up to, because when they know what you're up to, they can connect with that. They can decide, yeah, this resonates with me. I'm going to move toward that. And so hopefully this is useful. If you like the information, please share it. I'm going to start putting these on YouTube. So if you're not a subscriber to our channel, I'll put a link on how to do that. So come subscribe, and I'll just keep doing these videos every morning. So appreciate you guys. Go make it a giant day, and I will see you in the next video.